Okay, members, can I welcome you all back from summer recess? It's good to be with you all again. Can I advise members of the need to maintain social distancing during the meeting? And I'd also like to provide a brief overview of the day's business. So the committee today will consider correspondence received over the summer months and indeed also subordinate legislation. Can I advise members that due to some members joining the meeting remotely, it would be helpful if members use the hand up icon to register that they wish to speak or ask questions at each agenda item. And on that point, can I apologise to George Robinson, because I do realise in speaking to you after a meeting that you may have indicated via the screen, but I didn't pick it up. So I would ask members to please indicate when joining virtually so that I can pick you up and give you the opportunity provided for a question. It can be quite difficult managing both. So apologies, George. Also, if members could mute their mic when they are not speaking, that would allow everyone to hear the evidence and follow the meeting. Can I advise members that the room must be vacated at 1 p.m. at the latest, and request that members keep that in mind when asking questions. So, agenda item number 1, and that is apologies. Do you have any apologies, members? No, I don't think we do. Okay, agenda item number 2, which is Chairperson's business. Can I, by ways of reading into the record, advise members that under the Clerk's advisement, I suggested and informed members that the forward work programme be changed to consider the accumulation of correspondence and subordinate legislation over the summer months at today's meeting, and to arrange the committee's strategic planning meeting until after the briefing with the Minister next week. We can have a further discussion on this, members, further down the agenda when forward work programme comes up at agenda item 13, because I do realise there is some complications even now with that, even for my own diary commitments, given what is on that day. Can I also remind members that during the summer the committee arrangement was received to write to the Department for information on a range of issues, which you will see in some of the correspondence. So agenda item number 3 is draft minutes. At page 6, can I draw members' attention to the draft minutes of the meeting on the 30th of June 2021? Are members content that the minutes are true and accurate reflection? Agreed? Agreed. Agreed. So hold on. Okay, thank you, members. Agenda item number 4, which is matters arising. At page 16, matters arising from the meeting on the 30th of June 2021. Can I advise members if they have any issues, or can I ask if members have any issues arising from the meeting of the 30th of June 2021? No issues. Okay. Can I? Sorry. Sorry, yes, Roy, please, come on ahead.
One of the items discussed and minuted, right to DVA, stressing the urgency. Can you hear me?
Roy, could I just hold you for one moment? It's just you broke off the screen. You want to try again there to see if we can hear you clearly?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can indeed. Go on ahead. Yeah, I'm hearing an echo. I don't know what's wrong.
Yeah, hello?
Could I ask all members please to mute their mics? I think George came on screen there when Roy was speaking. Ask all members to please mute when not speaking and allow Roy to continue, please.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Can indeed, Roy.
I'm still picking up some backup, but I'll speak back. I'll try anyway. Under any other business, the issue of DBA's and the MOT backlog was discussed, and how it's adversely affecting the economy, and we agreed to write to them.
Roy, could I just please hold you for a moment? We're still having some issues here. Can I ask? Everything's okay? Right? Okay, Roy, I'm being advised here from the clerk that the actual connection issue is on your end and not on ours, so I don't know if you have a set of headphones or anything which may help us.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can, yeah. Go on ahead.
Is that a good enough connection, or do I have to?
No, that's fine. Go on ahead, Roy.
Okay. Under any other business, the MOT backlog was discussed again. At the end of August, I was getting numerous calls from constituents who were unable to put MOTs online. Now, many are being facilitated. I appreciate that, but nevertheless, there's huge pressure and a lack of space or options to book MOT testing. So I think we need to see that everything's being done to deal with that, and I would like to speak to officials again.
Okay, right. Thank you for that. That is a major issue of concern for the committee. It certainly came to my attention over the summer months, and I have other members indicating, and I'll bring them in now. I would support your call. The one thing I would say in relation to that is we do have the Minister with us next week for a prolonged period with the Chief Executive of the DVA again, so we will have opportunity there to probe further on that backlog. It's not just the situation with MOTs that concerns me, but also that with driving tests, there's still considerable concern, and also other issues. So I'm happy to allow us to pursue that with the Minister at some extent next week, and providing and listening to what answers we receive, then the committee can agree a course of action. I'll go over to Andrew, had his hand raised at this stage.
Thank you, Chair, and I think that's probably the right course of action. We'll see what responses we get next week and we'll decide the way forward. But I would agree with what Roy's mentioned and yourself. Over the summer, people have been contacting me that you can only book your MOT 12 weeks in advance of when that expiry is meant to happen. So when they're going on within that 12 weeks, and people that are contacting me are going straight on at that 12 weeks. You know, the people living in Belfast are having to go to Craigavon to get an MOT. This isn't acceptable. So we need to find a better solution for this, because this can't continue for people, because the risk is that people will not book their MOT, and the inconvenience will cause as well around this. So.
Absolutely, and I agree entirely. The situation surrounding MOTs is a disaster at present, and we do need to get on top of it. And as a committee, we need to be very, very aware of the issues that are facing the industry at the moment. Is there any other members want to come in on that point before I move on? Because I realise it is up for discussion next week, and it is included also in correspondence. Members are content. Okay, thank you. Sorry, Roy, you're content with the course of action that I've suggested?
Content.
Okay, thank you. Could I also draw members' attention, well, I think I actually already have at page 19 of outstanding committee requests for information. Members content? Okay, and agenda item number 5, which is correspondence, and can I draw members' attention to the correspondence memo at page 23? At page 29, can I advise members that there are 3 ministerial responses to committee requests for information from its meetings in June. If members have further queries on the responses, they can be included in next week's pack for raising with the Minister during your briefing, and again that alludes to the MOT situation away. Are members agreed with that course of action, or is there anything members would like to raise at this point? I'm not seeing any indication. George, sorry, did you indicate there? Okay, George Robinson, could I bring you in at this stage? Sorry, George, you're on mute. George, can you hear us?
Yes, I can indeed. Yes, Chair.
Okay, George, you want to ask a question?
No, I'm just saying that I do agree with the last member's contribution.
Okay. Thank you, George. Thank you. Okay, we are at. So members are agreed with that course of action. I see nobody else that is indicating to speak. So could I also draw members' attention to page 38 and advise members that there is also correspondence from members of the public on this at page 41 and 43 of the pack, and the SR in question is at page 980 of the pack. Members will know that this was an issue of concern that has been brought to not only myself as chair, but I know other members, and it is something that has given me cause for concern in relation to the parking and waiting restrictions and subordinate legislation introduced outside part of Adelaide Park, outside the Chinese consulate building. This is something that I raised during the summer months, and I appreciate the committee's indulgence to do so, because it was an issue of concern. I have to say I'm still not content with how the department in particular has pursued this issue, and it's something that we will pick up later when the SR is raised. Can I also advise members that in the first instance we forward the department's correspondence to the individuals for information and comment? Are members agreed with that course of action?
Agreed.
Agreed. Okay, thank you. Could I also draw members' attention to, at page 719, the Minister for Infrastructure's business plan for the Department for Infrastructure and Driver and Vehicle Agency 2021 to 2022. Are members content to note, or is anybody wishing to interject at this stage? Okay. Agreed. So at page 793, the Minister for Infrastructure in the biannual...
Chair, 1 minute, Chair.
Okay, sorry, is that Cathal Boylan?
Chair, thank you. Sorry, just on page, I think it's 710, in terms of, have we reached the departmental business plan issue yet? No, Chair, sorry.
I've just raised at page 719 the business plan for the Department for Infrastructure and Driver and Vehicle Agency. Do you wish
Sorry,
to...
no, there's one at 710 in terms of the plan in relation to the roads contact issue, Chair. That would like to raise. I mean, I can raise it later. Can I raise it now, just in relation to it?
Okay, I'm happy for you if you have a point to raise there, Cathal, on that point.
Yeah, Chair, just in relation to the roads contact issue, I understand that there's a number of issues with a number of councils in relation to roads contacts in general, and I know there's a legal challenge going on there at the minute, and there's some issues. But in terms of the road recovery fund, I'm just wondering, can we ask the department whether or not the road recovery fund is actually impacted at this moment in time, and could we get a wee update? Because I mean, like yourselves, I'm sure there's a lot of councillors and MLAs getting challenged in relation to roads recovery and road implementation works at the minute. So maybe we could get a wee update in terms of how the legal challenge, I mean, clearly there's a plan there, but how are we going to deal with that over the next, well, for the rest of this mandate, obviously? Can I get a wee response from the department in terms of if there's an impact in terms of the road recovery fund and those legal challenges to some of the contracts that's run out there with some of those council areas, Chair? I mean, I'd like to raise that issue, you know. No,
I appreciate you bringing that to our attention. Obviously, on page 33, members will see on some of the issues that the department have followed up with us. At the bottom of that, there's the road resurfacing contracts, where it states there are 4 areas where road resurfacing contracts has been delayed following legal challenge and a discontinuation of tender completion on the 4th of June 2020. Following legal advice, the areas impacted are Newrymoorn and Down, Derry and Strabane, Mid-Ulster and Omagh. This is a very frustrating situation for me, as much needed resurfacing work will be delayed. The matter is subject to further legal challenge, and the department is working with its legal advisors to consider the next steps. It is an issue of concern for me as chair. I do know there's considerable issues in these road resurfacing contracts, particularly in rural areas across Northern Ireland. So, are you content, Cathal, that we get a written briefing again on that, or would you want officials in person to come before the committee?
Well, Chair, I mean, either way, but we need to ascertain whether or not the roads recovery fund, the works that through that recovery fund is not impacted, or money can be transferred over, because you know as well as I do, and a lot of the members know, that there's a lot of works there can be carried out under the recovery fund, and I just want a wee update from the department, really, either way, to see how that's impacting, you know.
Well, could I suggest a way forward would be we will write to the department and make note that this could come up in the minister's briefing, and that could be a direct question from you to them in relation to that recovery fund. Are you content with that course of action?
Agreed, Chair. I'm happy enough. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. And I don't see any other members looking to come in on that particular point. Okay, sorry, Liz Kimmins.
No, sorry, it's still on the business plan, but if there's something else we want to cover first.
Sorry, Liz, you cut out there. Could you please repeat?
It's on the departmental business plan, but it's a different point separate to Cahill's, just about the road safety strategy.
No, I'm happy for you to bring that point up at this stage. I think Cahill's point has now been settled.
Yeah, no, that's grand. Thank you, Chair. No, it's just action point 32 on page 756. and said that by October the department would consult on the options for the development of the new road safety strategy. So it was just, I had raised it in the past, so I just wanted to see, could we maybe get more information on the work that has taken place so far, and if we have a target date for the publication of the strategy. Just be good to kind of get a sense of where that's at and what engagements have taken place.
Okay.
If the committee could even get sight of some of the feedback in relation to it.
Okay. I'm being advised. Sorry. Go ahead, Liz. Sorry, I'm being advised, Liz, from the clerk that we do have a briefing on the 29th on this particular issue. So I think some of the issues you've raised will stand to that time if you're content.
That's brilliant. Yeah, thanks very much, Chair.
Okay, thank you. At page 793, the Minister for Infrastructure on the biennial MOT testing called for evidence. Could I seek agreement to write to the Department requesting a timetable for consultation and a briefing on the findings of the call for evidence on its proposed way forward on its proposals when available? I don't know about members, but this is something that has sparked quite considerable debate in our community, and I think that's good. That's what this is about. This committee will ensure that we hear all aspects and from all sectors in relation to this. So I do think it would be appropriate, probably at our strategic away day, that we look at how we schedule in briefings from those different sectors. It is certainly something that may help deal with the significant backlog. It is also something that there is concerns among some within the MOT testing sector, and indeed also mechanics, that potentially the system could be misused in terms of roadworthiness in cars. But I would like to tease out those arguments here in committee with members and also look at how we can input into this consultation and ensure that we find an appropriate way forward. Do members have any further comment on that? Andrew, please. Yeah,
thank you, John. I'd agree with that. They also, I don't know whether it would be useful to request a raised report in relation to this to understand how MOT testing occurs in other places, outside the UK, because I know from some of the comments, as you said, this has garnered debate, and I think that's healthy. But people are saying that this is the situation in some countries, so it would be good to get some research on that.
I think that would be very important. I think that even within our own islands and the British Isles, there's a difference of approach. And I think that it's important for us as a committee to find best practice where appropriate and apply it here to Northern Ireland. So I would be in agreement with that point. Are members content with Andrew's proposal for a raised report regarding international best practice? Members are agreed. George, did I see your hand raised? He might be just agreeing. Oh, he's agreeing. Okay. Thank you, George. Okay, I'll move on now to page 851. Which is the Lisburn Chamber of Commerce copy of responses from the Minister of Infrastructure, RE controlled.
Mr. Chairman, I have had my hand raised.
Apologies, Roy, I haven't seen it here on the screen, but do you want to let me to finish this point and then you can come in?
Okay, that's fine.
So, Lisburn Chamber of Commerce copy of responses from the Minister for Infrastructure, RE controlled charge parking zones in Lisburn, Newry and Belfast. Can I seek agreement to forward the Department's response on this issue to Lisburn Chamber of Commerce? And the Department's response is at page 35 in Correspondence. Now, I know members may wish to come in on this. I myself am not really content with the response that we have received. Certainly, I sensed a will within the committee to see progress on this issue, and the Minister's response to me seems to be kicking it out altogether. So I will take members' comments on that, but first of all, I'll go to Roy because he had his hand raised on an agenda item before that.
Yeah, sorry, that was an earlier issue. We briefly mentioned the departmental business plans, and one of the points in their priorities was addressing regional imbalance and supporting the all-island economy. Now, I have no difficulty with addressing regional imbalance, and I have no difficulty with supporting the economy. But that particular wording, where it mentions supporting the all-island economy, is very political. It is also, I think, adverse in terms of road infrastructure, which actually is important to Northern Ireland. And I'm looking in my mind, for instance, that the main route between Larne and Ballymena would not be part of an all-island economy, but it's a very important route because it links the local government area. It also links North Antrim to the Port of Larne. So I would wish to lodge my disagreement with that as a priority, that it should be about the all-island economy. It should be about the economy.
Okay, and I would share those concerns, Roy, and I'm sure we can articulate that position to the department as well directly. Okay, members, has anybody an issue in relation to the correspondence from Lisburn? Okay, so I see. So I want to, if members could point to this point, at page 851, the Lisburn Chamber of Commerce copy of responses from the Minister of Infrastructure. I think I see Liz Kimmins' hand up, so I'll go to you first, Liz.
Thanks, Chair. I mean, obviously, because it ties in with my own area, and we had Newry bid in as well at the briefing. I mean, I'm really disappointed with the response from the Minister, and I think, as you said yourself, there was certainly a will from people in the committee to try and find a solution to it, or at least look at the proposal of a pilot. So, I mean, this won't go down well. I think that in fairness to Newry bid and to Lisburn, they're very reasonable and rational thinking in what they're putting forward here, and it is all about support our local businesses. I don't think anybody is trying to say in terms of increased car dependency and things like that. I don't think that's a valid argument. I think it's a pilot that was being proposed, and I think it's important that we listen to the people on the ground and try and support them, especially after the last 18 months that they've had. And also, I mean, there's a suggestion in there that the department would be considering extending this to other areas. I mean, surely the fact that it's not working in these areas sends a message that it's not a good idea to start thinking about rolling it out in other places. But it's just to put that on record. And I mean, I'm not sure if this minister's response is being circulated to Newry bid as well, but it would be. I think it could be useful if they get an opportunity to respond, because I know they're working in partnership with Lisburn Chamber.
Okay, and I think the action point, and I take on board fully what you've said, Liz. I think the action point would be to forward this correspondence on to bid in relation to the Minister's response. I suppose probably one thing that came of note to me when reading the correspondence from the Minister is that there has to be the recognition that rural towns such as Newry and indeed semi-rural like Lisburn, it's not a one-size-fits-all approach in relation to public transport. There's many people that depend upon their car and access to those more semi-rural towns across Northern Ireland. So, a point well noted. I see Cathal Boylan's hand up. Go to Cathal. Cathal, do you want to...
Yeah, thanks, Chair. No, just getting the Chair, just 2 points. Obviously, there's raising a different issue there. Chair, just on the 850 page, sorry, there's not many pages, page 850 in terms of the electric vehicles issue, I would agree with a follow-up meeting in relation to that matter. But Chair, one other issue, and I know you have written in different correspondence, and this is an important issue for the committee, in relation to the strategic planning policy issue, where there's been guidance issued down to local authority in relation to rural planning, countryside planning, PPS 21, and I don't know where you want to deal with it now, Chair, or have you set aside a different time frame to discuss that matter? Because I think it is a point for. I think you're right. You will see that during the summer months, I took the liberty to write to the Minister on this issue, because it seemed to land on Council's tables with no consultation, particularly with no oversight from this committee. So that is something, I think the Minister addresses it in one of her correspondence letters, but it's something that I think that we need to arrange for a briefing from the Department on this issue. It certainly is an issue for those of us that are indeed particularly in rural planning, and it's something that I would like to see brought before the committee. So if that is a suggestion from yourself that we organise a briefing. No, Chair, absolutely. I think the main point is whether there's a change of guidance or course, in terms of consultation, whatever the case may be, the impact is that there seems to be a change out there that will impact on rural dwellers. So the sooner we find or get clarification from the department in terms of exactly what that means, I certainly would appreciate a briefing on it, because a lot of councillors and a lot of MLS have been contacted. So, I'd appreciate the departmental officials coming up to clarify exactly what's going on in relation to. I think there's complications there in relation to the new guidance.
Okay. So the action points from that, Cathal, will be we will write in the first instance, and we will also arrange for a briefing, and we will probably discuss that further at the strategic away day as well. Do I see any other members on that point? No. Okay. Can I turn members' attention to page 858, correspondence from the Transport Hub Alternatives Groups. This is a group that I myself have met. I know other members have as well. There is again issues here in terms of the level of consultation. Now I see with note the Department's response in relation to the correspondence that they have had. I have to say that are with the Alternative Transport Hubs group, but I have to say that doesn't reflect in what the evidence that they've been telling me personally. I know we did agree on previous instances to have that group before the committee. I think that would be helpful to give them an opportunity to spell out their concerns regarding the project and also see if there can be a more cohesive way forward with the department and indeed TransLink with this group. Now, I do note in another correspondence, TransLink offering us the opportunity to engage on the Transport Hub and also the potential for a site visit. I think what we should do first and foremost is try to have a conversation, arrange a briefing from the Transport Hub Alternatives Group, and then after that visit the Transport Hub, have a briefing from TransLink and see then if we can try to square some of the debate. Andrew?
Thank you, Chair, and for declaration of interest. I was previously an employee of TransLink. We did, it wasn't a formal committee meeting, but we did have an engagement with the Transport Hub Alternatives Group. It was on a Thursday morning, I think, so there was an opportunity to engage with them. I understand that Assembly committees, it's my understanding, the clerks can confirm this, can now meet off-site. I know one's currently meeting off-site today. So I think it would be, I think if there's an opportunity to meet on-site, I think that should be taken up. But there was an engagement with the Transport Hub Alternatives Group. We also need to be cognizant of the fact that planning permission has been granted for this.
No, and I appreciate your concern. I'll just turn to the clerk here in relation to outside visits.
We haven't had any word unless there someone goes down and makes sure that everything is right and proper for social distancing.
Okay.
But other than that, we have there should be no site visits unless someone was went down and did a health check and made sure that everything's fine.
Could we do that then?
Well, Andrew, are you aware of another committee that's having external visits? Well, I actually think it should be something we should be progressing. So what we'll do is we will ask for clarity in relation to the Assembly structures. I, for one, would like to get out on site. I think the committee needs to be now getting out and about again. So if we could arrange for both probably in the same day where we talk to the Transport Hub Alternative on site and also with the site visit at TransLink, I think it would be helpful. So if sorry, Andrew, do you want to come in?
I think we'll just clarify whether we're allowed to.
Yeah. So we'll clarify whether that's can be enabled through the committee, and if so, we'll arrange for that to happen on the one day. Members content? Okay. Thank you, members. So, is the committee content with the actions as suggested in the correspondence memo? Are we agree? Oh, Cathal Boylan.
Sorry, Chair, I'll put my hand in the box on this. Chair, just on page 860, the RAISE report on the Reservoirs Act, could we forward that on to the Department for a response, or is the Department aware in relation to that report was done by RAISE, just to get their views on, Chair? Yeah.
So that is actually contained within the action points of the correspondence memo.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, members.
Okay, thank you. Members
are content. Andrew?
Thank you, Chair. Just in relation to the reservoirs thing, it would be possible to take something in private because obviously there's confidential issues associated with that.
Okay.
I got a confidential briefing previously.
Yeah.
There's something I want to talk about that. So
okay.
Not just that was shared in confidence.
Well, so okay, I'll take advice from the clerk whether or not we should go into confidential. Or we can take that in, at the end in confidential business. You're happy enough?
Yes, I'm happy for that. The other one, just on page 849, it's item 5.29. There was stuff from the Electrical Vehicle Association for Northern Ireland in relation to the EV charging, and it's just important that some of that's reflected within the final inquiry report.
Yeah,
because it was quite useful. Yeah.
It's in the actions.
Yeah,
okay, so that's in the actions again in the correspondence memo, and we will come back to the issue of the reservoirs in confidential business later on in the meeting. So our members agreed to move forward to the next agenda item? Great. Okay, members, we'll go to agenda item number 6, which is subordinate legislation, SL1s, not subject to the Assembly procedure. So can I advise members that there are 4 proposals for statutory rules not subject to Assembly proceedings at page 944. At page 945, SL1, the Parking and Waiting Restrictions Antrim Amendment Order, Northern Ireland 2021. At page 947, SL1, the Road Races Tour of the Spurns Rally Order, Northern Ireland 2021. At page 949, SL1, the Road Races Tyrone Stages Rally Order, Northern Ireland 2021. And at page 951, the Prohibition of Waiting Schools Amendment number 2 Order, Northern Ireland 2021. The proposals are not subject to Assembly proceedings. Are members content to note the proposals for the statutory rules? Agreed. Thank you, members. I'll move to agenda item number 7, subordinate legislation SRs, not subject to Assembly procedure. Can I advise members that there are 14 statutory rules, yes, it's a long one, not subject to the Assembly proceedings at page 953. Can I alert members to the fact that the SR at page 980 in the SR, which has been objected to and queried by residents, can I advise members that the committee has no legislative scrutiny role, as the department has the power in legislation to make these changes. However, the committee can consider the manner of the consultation with residents and the subsequent implementation of the rule. The committee has agreed to forward the department's correspondence on this matter to the residents, and we might wish to hear back from them and consider further. So when I do get down to that issue, I will take members' viewpoints on it, because it's something that is of concern to me also. So page 955, SR 2021 191, the Road Races Armoy Motorcycle Road Race Order, Northern Ireland 2021. At page 961, SR 2021 192, the Parking and Waiting Restrictions Ballyclare Amendment Order, Northern Ireland 2021. At page 964, SR 2021-193, the Waiting Restrictions and Urban Clearways, John Street and Calvin Road, Omagh Order, Northern Ireland 2021. At page 971, SR 2021-194, the Waiting Restrictions Whitehead Amendment Order, Northern Ireland 2021. At page 974, SR 2021-195, the Road Speed Limit Order, Northern Ireland 2021. At page 980, which is the SR 2021-200, the Parking and Waiting Restrictions Belfast Amendment number 2 Order, Northern Ireland 2021. At this point, I'm going to stop there, because this is an issue that I have had as committee. I know, Andrew, you also correspond with me. Do you have any comment you wish to make in relation to that particular SR?
Yeah, so fully accept what you've said in terms of our role in relation to this. I think there's a number of issues around this. When it was brought to the committee in June, I was disappointed that the department didn't fully make us aware of the context around this, of which there clearly is context in relation to that. There's also a strong feeling that local residents, their voice hasn't been heard. There's been delays in response to their queries, but yet the department have moved, and the feeling is at haste for making of this. So I think there has to be questions asked around those areas of why weren't we made aware of the context around why this was being made, why there wasn't more fuller engagement with residents, and why the department felt they needed to move at pace. The department, over time, we've seen can move at a very slow pace, but miraculously in relation to this it was able to move much faster. So there is questions to ask around this, and I understand our role as a committee, but we also have a scrutiny function as well. Yeah.
No, I concur entirely with you. I do feel that we as a committee were not informed of the entire background and context as to the level of complaints and concerns that there was from local residents. I feel that local residents didn't have the opportunity to have their case heard in that regard. So what I would be suggesting is that we do give residents the opportunity to come before the committee to put on record the concerns, because I do believe that the department have not acted in a befitting way in this instance. I myself have visited the area and spoken to residents, and during the summer I did feel that we had an opportunity for the department to hold back, to listen to the concerns of residents and find a proposed agreed way forward. I feel that was ignored, and the department then moved at haste to put the double yellow lines down without giving us the opportunity to meet with residents and discuss their concerns. So I do have concerns as to how this was handled. And if any other members have something that they want to raise on this point, I'll go to you first, and then we'll come back to the clerk, who will look at the potential options that we as a committee can take at this stage. So I see the first hand up is Roy Beggs, and then I'll go to Cathal Boylan. Sorry, Roy, you're on mute. We can't hear you.
Sorry, it was an earlier one about Whitehead, an order, and the department has got away from providing a map. A map gives a plan, you can have an understanding, but we're getting a description so many metres northwest of such and such a point, and I'm trying to think northwest, where is this? So I really cannot support something which I do not fully understand what they're doing. So I think the department should be providing us a sketch map, because they will have them in their planning process, so we understand and have a better understanding of what is being planned, so that we get a better result.
Roy, in particular, what SR was that in relation to?
It was page 971, if I've got it right.
Whitehead, yeah.
Yeah, it's number 21194.
Okay, we can pass that concern on and hope that we can get a map arranged if that was the previous way of doing things and makes things easier. Sorry, Cathal Boylan.
Yeah, Chair, just listen to the Belfast one, and obviously you've alluded to it. I mean, I've been contacted as well. In most cases, when they come through, even as SL1s and SRs, we generally they have gone through council. But I think in this case, Chair, I mean, there has been major concerns raised. We weren't aware of them. We have been made aware of them, and I would support yourself and Andrew in terms of giving the opportunity to those residents to make their voices heard and come before us and say exactly what has been going on down there. I know you're on the ground over the summertime, so I would support your actions, Chair, in this matter.
Okay. Well, I think we have a proposed way forward. I'm going to ask the clerk to make comment as to what we can do as a committee at this stage. Certainly, what has been brought to my attention, and I think it is fair comment, that we do need to understand what the legislation is in relation to embassies and consulates as to how the department can act, because we will all know of the varied press that there has been around this for a considerable period of time. A wall built without apparent planning permission, and now an action in double lines without the permission or full knowledge of us as a committee in relation to concerns. So I think a proposed way forward would be, first of all, to hear from the residents the concerns, and for us also to explore ways by which we can ask the department and have the department explain their actions on this particular SR. But I'm going to hand to the clerk now for his interpretation of what we as a committee can do at this stage.
No, that we still can scrutinise the process. We can call the residents up to the meeting and get their concerns outlined, and then put those to the department for a response, whether that be in writing or in front of the committee. Okay.
Are members content with that course of action? Agreed? Agreed. Okay, thank you, members. At page 983, SR 2021-226, the Urban Clearways Amendment Order, Northern Ireland 2021. At page 986, SR 2021-227, the Prohibition of Waiting Schools Amendment Order, Northern Ireland 2021. At page 989, SR 2021 228, the Parking Places and Waiting Restrictions Ballymoney Amendment Order Northern Ireland 2021. At page 994, SR 2021-229, the Road Races Eagles Rock Hill Climb Order Northern Ireland 2021. At page 999, SR 2021-235, the Prohibition of Right-Hand Turn Dungiven Order Northern Ireland 2021. At page 1003, SR 2021-236, the Road Races Bushwhacker Rally Order Northern Ireland 2021. At page 1009, SR 2021-237, the Road Races Craiganglet Hill Climb Order Northern Ireland 2021. And at page 1014, SR 2021-238, the Road Races Cookstown 100 Motorcycle Race Road Race Order Northern Ireland 2021. So can I advise members to note the statutory rules with the exception of SR 2021-200, while the committee satisfies itself that the consultation and implementation was adequate. Are members agreed with that course of action?
Agreed, Chair.
Agreed. Okay, thank you, members. So can I turn members' attention to agenda item number 8, SR 2021-184, the Water and Sewage Services Electronic Communications Order Northern Ireland 2021. At page 1021, SR 2021-184, the Water and Sewage Services Electronic Communications Order Northern Ireland 2021. The committee considered the proposal for the rule on the 16th of June 2021 and was content. The rule is subject to negative resolution. There has been no change to the policy content of the ASR since the SL1 was considered by the committee. Are members content with this rule? Okay, members content? Great. So can I read the following motion? That the Committee for Infrastructure has considered SR 2021-184, the Water and Sewage Services Electronic Communications Order Northern Ireland 2021, and has no objection to the rule. Agreed. Could I move now to agenda item number 9, which is SR 2021-204, the Trunk Road T6 A4 Enniskillen Southern Bypass Order Northern Ireland 2021. At page 1029, the SR 2021-204, the Trunk Road T6 A4 Enniskillen Southern Bypass Order Northern Ireland 2021. The committee considered the proposal for the statutory rule on the 26th of May 2021 and was content. The rule is subject to negative resolution. There has been no change to the policy content of the SR since the SL1 was considered by the committee. Are members content with this rule? Content. So can I read in the following motion that the Committee for Infrastructure has considered SR 2021-204, the Trunk Road T6 A4 Enniskillen Southern Bypass Order Northern Ireland 2021, and subject to the examiner of statutory rules has no objection to the rule. Okay, members, thank you. Could I move now to agenda item number 10, which is SR 2021-205, the River Sillees Bridge Order, Northern Ireland 2021. At page 1040, SR 2021-205, the River Sillees Bridge Order, Northern Ireland 2021. The committee considered the proposal for the rule on the 26th of May 2021 and was content. The rule is subject to negative resolution. There has been no change to the policy content of the SR since the SL1 was considered by the committee. Are members content with this rule? Content. So can I read the following motion that the Committee for Infrastructure has considered SR 2021-205, the River Sillees Bridge Order Northern Ireland 2021, and subject to the examiner of statutory rules has no objection to the rule. Can I move now to agenda item number 11, which is SR 2021-206, the River Erne Bridge Order Northern Ireland 2021. At page 1040, the SR 2021-206, the River Erne Bridge Order Northern Ireland 2021. The committee considered the proposal for the rule on the 26th of May 2021 and was content. The rule is subject to negative resolution. There has been no change to the policy content of the ASR since the SL1 has considered or was considered by the committee. Are members content with this rule? Content. So can I read the following motion that the Committee for Infrastructure has considered SR 2021-206, the River Erne Bridge Order Northern Ireland 2021, and subject to the Examiner of Statutory Rules, has no objection to the rule. Thank you, members. Can I move now to agenda item number 12, SR 2021-208, the River Erne Bridge Diversion of Navigable, Watercourse and Extinguishment of Public Rights of Navigation Order Northern Ireland 2021. At page 1040 of your pack, SR 2021-208, the River Erne Bridge Diversion of Navigable, Watercourse, Extinguishment of Public Rights of Navigation Order Northern Ireland 2021. The committee considered the proposal for the rule on the 26th of May 2021 and was content. The rule is subject to negative resolution. There has been no change to the policy content of the ASR since the SL1 was considered by the committee. Are members content with this rule? Content. If so, can I read the following motion that the Committee for Infrastructure has considered SR 2021-208, the River Erne Bridge Diversion of Navigable, Watercourse and Extinguishment of Public Rights of Navigation Order Northern Ireland 2021, subject to the Examiner of Statutory Rules, has no objection to the rule. Great. Okay, members, thank you for your indulgence on that. That was quite a list of SRs. So can I now move to agenda item number 13, which is the Forward Work Programme, and can I draw members' attention to the proposed draft work programme for the next meeting. I also brought to the clerk's attention the strategic planning meeting. Obviously, we took a decision to have the ministerial briefing, I understand will be with us for a considerable time on that day, which we're very thankful for, because there's a lot of serious issues to get through. So I thought it was appropriate, on the clerk's suggestion, to bring that forward to allow members to raise concerns which will help inform our strategic planning meeting. Now, I've just raised with the clerk there is an issue with the 22nd of September with the strategic planning meeting. I know for me as chair, given that the British Mediterranean Council are attending the conference that's being held here in Northern Ireland. And it's something that I will be involved with, and also that is the opening day of Balmoral Show, so it may be a difficult meeting for me to attend, and I was wondering if we could have some conversation regarding a suitable date which would allow all members to be present. We had a brief conversation before the meeting with the clerk about potentially looking at whether we could facilitate such a strategic planning meeting maybe before a plenary on Tuesday. Or that morning, or else we could potentially have it after the following committee meeting on the 29th, but I know that does exclude some members because you have other committee meetings. So I'm open to members. I would like to hear suggestions on when you feel that would be best appropriate to have that strategic planning meeting. Have members any suggestions? Okay, so Andrew?
Yeah, so I think to have a strategic planning meeting, it's important that most, if not all, members are there, because it's determining what we're going to do for the rest of the mandate. If we're going to have it before a plenary, it probably would have to be realistically 8:30 or 9 o'clock, really, to be honest, because as members will know, then I know plenary starts at 10:30 on the Tuesday. But there's a bit of drama usually before that. You need to get yourself sorted for that. So we need to sort of wrap up at about sort of 10, 10:15, so that people would know to go into the chamber for matters of the day and all that sort of stuff. So I'll be amenable to that. The thing is that our committee meetings usually on a Wednesday morning. So if we're going to do the strategic planning, that's perhaps separate, and then we would just continue our committee meetings on a Wednesday morning. So.
Okay, it's been a suggestion that potentially on a Tuesday we could book a room over lunch and have lunch provided for members.
Like a business committee.
It precludes Andrew with the business committee. Sorry, could I go to Cahill? Have you a suggestion?
Yeah, Chair, I mean, to see the next, I mean, obviously are we time bound in terms of the sooner we have it the better, obviously for ourselves and the work programme, but see the next week we have a departmental budget briefing, is that correct on the?
Yes.
It's going to be the start of 6th of October.
Yeah, I mean, what are we trying to fit it in on that day, you know?
Okay, so we have in the forward work programme on the 29th of September is the department briefing on the budget in the forward work plan. But I'm going to hand it over now to the clerk who can maybe explain what we have in at present.
Those dates are there and they've to be confirmed, but from the department say they wouldn't have much to say on that date, so they want to move it until the start of October. The 6th of October is the presumed date for the budget briefing, but the road safety strategy briefing would be on the 29th of September.
So potentially, and maybe this is a suggestion, could we essentially have that strategic planning day on the 29th with
Yes,
that?
we could go into informal meeting afterwards.
Okay. Would that be something that members find agreeable to? I'm seeing nodding heads. Sorry, I see Roy has indicated. Roy? Sorry, Roy, you're...
I'd be content with that, but I was also content with Andrew's suggestion, perhaps have an early morning start. 9, I don't know how long we're going to take. Is it hour and a half, 2 hours? And just set aside an amount of time before a normal meeting, and then still endeavour to finish by 1 o'clock, so we're not eating into anyone else's other committees. Either way, I'll work with it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think on the, Chair, on the 29th, if we started a wee bit earlier, that means we wouldn't be, as Roy said, rushed towards the end and getting chucked out of the room, you know. Okay,
so I think we have a couple of proposals there. So what I'm going to ask the clerk to do is to go away and look at those two options. It's been suggested about an early morning before a plenary on a Tuesday. That's one option. And the other option, which has been suggested, is, for example, on that 29th, whether we start early and have that informal strategic meeting before our committee meeting, so it doesn't impact on anybody else following on down the line for other committee meetings. So there's two proposals.
I would suggest we probably have we start the formal meeting early.
Okay.
And then
okay.
Go into it means it can last as long as it wants.
So the suggestion is that we would start the formal meeting early on the 29th of September and follow that by the informal strategic planning day, and that would be on the 29th. I see Cal Boylan with his hand up. Do you want to?
Yeah, to be fair, I think the 29th would be better. I mean, because even in plenary terms, we don't know what's going to come to the table, so people might have prepared for different things on the plenary day. So I think the Wednesday, the 29th, would be a better day.
Okay.
It would suit better.
Yeah, okay. And I see George Robinson's hand raised. George, do you want to? Sorry, George, you're on mute. Sorry, George, we're still not hearing you in the meeting. Apologies, George, we're still not hearing you. Go now, George.
Just to say, Chair, that I'm completely caught up in the 29th. I'd have to make an apology at this stage.
Okay, and you wouldn't be able to attend the committee meeting on the 29th then anyway?
No, ministerial visits on that particular day.
Okay,
well, to the constituency.
Okay, well, we'll have to go with where the majority is. Obviously, that is a committee day anyway, so that's probably in line, but thank you for your apology. Okay, members. Sorry, Andrew.
Sorry, Chair. Can you see on the 22nd of September, just to clarify what the plan is for that? Is there, because I'd be loath that we didn't have a committee meeting when we actually have quite a lot of business to do, you know. So
well, we didn't have anything planned for that. We can try and slot something in. The chair won't be there.
The understanding is that there was nothing that was planned for that day, hence why today we have pushed through a lot of SRs. But again, we can look at that option to see what is available or not. But it was planned that there was to be no official committee meeting on that day, but there's something we can look at. Okay, members, thank you. We will now move on to. We're going to move on to any other business. We'll take that first. and then we will go in, at the end of any other business, we will go into confidential business to allow Andrew to bring up his point in relation to the reservoirs. So I did receive via correspondence from yourself, Andrew, in relation to any other business on Hgv shortages. I could bring you in at this stage. I will have something to say on that myself, but if you wish to.
Yeah, so thank you, Chair. As yourself and members be aware, over the last number of weeks, when the committee wasn't in session, there's been significant issues in terms of Hgv driver shortage. Now, I'm conscious that this falls across a number of different departments, but there is a clear issue here in terms of transportation around that. So Logistics UK made a clear call for action, and my proposal would be to follow up upon that, which is in relation to writing to the Infrastructure Minister about the increase in DVA testing capacity, also in terms of the Home Office in relation to temporary work visas, because there is a need for intervention in relation to this ASAP, and also then in terms of the Communities and Economy Ministers in terms of skills and training support, and lastly then inviting a rep in from Logistics UK to talk about this issue, because this is a key issue of concern.
Okay, and thank Andrew for bringing that up. And reading your correspondence that you sent to me, I have no issue with the general thrust in trying to address this issue. It is an issue, though there is many interpretations worldwide as to the shortage of Hgv drivers. It's something that I even seen the International Road Transport Union voiced that over 3.5 million has over 3.5 million companies, and they're suggesting that truck driver shortages are expected to increase in 2021 by over a quarter around the world. So almost 40% of road transport operators surveyed skill gaps as the #1 cause of driver shortages in markets as diverse as Czech Republic, Norway, Romania, to Russia, Ukraine and Mexico. So I think it's unfair for us to cite Brexit as the main issue here. So what I would propose, if you were agreeable, I'm sure it's an issue in which you can raise. I don't want to put the cart before the horse in relation to the issues that have caused this. So what I would prefer is your final point, which was invite a representative from Logistics UK to a committee meeting at the earliest opportunity to understand key issues and solutions proposed, that we actually do that first and foremost, so we gather the evidence, we hear what the issues are out there, both locally and indeed from the UK logistics, and then base upon their evidence action points in relation to writing to the ministers, and also having department officials in to address or to let us know what the department intend to do to address some of those issues. So it's just a matter of sequencing for me. If you were content with that, that would certainly be my response to your item, but I'll come back to you in a moment. I want to have other members to have their opportunity. So I'm going to take in Liz Kimmins and then Roy Beggs.
Thanks, Chair. Turning to that issue, so if Roy wants to come in on this, I'm happy to wait.
That's fair enough. Could I go to Roy Beggs?
I'm conscious that the Roads Haulage Association also represents a section of freight, so I think it's important to see it from both the logistics, which is generally faster moving goods, and also the Road Haulage Association. So I'd be content, and think they should be included. I agree, yes, we do need to have better access for testing. But I think a major part of this is long-term planning and addressing the skills shortage. And this is something that is destined to worsen going forward. We're starting to hear how it affects food deliveries to our supermarkets, but also will affect the efficiency of our manufacturing industry with late arrivals. So getting additional people trained and supporting training to have more drivers is very important. So I think pressing that issue with the Department of the Economy, I think, is important. Do we write to the Economy Committee highlighting this issue and ask them to address it internally? There's a high preponderance of drivers who are over 55, and as such, this issue is likely to worsen, as has been said.
Yeah, no, I agree, Roy. I think it was the UK Road Haulage Association surveyed their members in July, and it showed the #1 reason for shortages was actually driver retirement. And included in that, we also have a toxic sort of cocktail here at the moment, which are feeding in to shortages worldwide of Hgv drivers. So it's important that we as a committee examine all of them in full, be informed, and then follow up on subsequent suggestions. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to Cathal Boylan and then Dolores Kelly.
Sorry, my specific point, should we write to the Economy Committee, so that they press the issue of addressing shortages and providing additional training opportunities? Perhaps, it's very expensive for a young person to train as an Hgv driver, so there may need to be something that is addressed by the department itself. So I think that is an important aspect that has to be taken forward. Okay, that's a fair point for noting. So I'll go to the other members first, Cathal Boylan and then Dolores Kelly.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I agree with some of the suggestions, Chair. I think it's a broader economic issue in terms of economic recovery, because you can see it's going to happen right across the board. Obviously, we have responsibility in terms of some of the issues within haulage, and you can see taxi industry and everything else. But I would couch the whole argument, and I know the Minister's in next week, but it certainly lays outside DFA as well in terms of this whole economic recovery package going forward. And I think the shortage is one thing, but we need to have a broader discussion. So I would support some of the actions there, Brian in particular, what he's mentioned. So I'd be happy enough to go down that route as well, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, and Dolores Kelly.
Thanks, Chair. Chair, in my constituency, a year ago, we were told that by one of the big haulage companies that a lot of foreign nationals actually went home for the holidays and never came back. And in part to do with Brexit and improving economic situation in their home nations. But also in speaking to some older Hgv drivers who actually had the qualification but only were doing an odd bit of work, found it overwhelming the increased computer literacy requirements whenever they had to go to docks, etc. and all of that. So I think there are questions for the industry itself in terms of how it can assist to retain drivers. it was very simple. Somebody said that they had to do a drive down to the docks, and then there was no person to direct them which to go to. Everything was all like on a computer screen, and they just found it overwhelming, and didn't think they just couldn't cope. They got too stressed out. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but it's just the change in work practices. Some people's ability they didn't find it worth the angst that it caused them. So I would be supportive of Roy in terms of the economy department, in terms of that skills mix and all the rest of it. And as you say, it is increasing worldwide in terms of particular skills mix and shortages, and no doubt that has something to do around vocational training, as well as being something that people should be able to aspire to, as well as the academic route. Thanks, Chair. Okay,
thank you, Dolores. And I agree with most of what members have said. This is a cocktail that, and I will be fair, it doesn't all fit under the remit of the Minister for Infrastructure. I accept that. There's certainly issues, it's a cross-departmental issue in some regards, but there is issues that are directly under the Department of Infrastructure, and I suppose probably as a committee that's what we must focus on. So the lack of HGV tests, the COVID backlog, those sort of issues are something that we need to home in on. So I have no problem, and I would support we write to the Committee for Economy to further probe on this issue as well. And we do know that there has been a movement of workers, but for example, the British International Freight Association were saying that Germany was already reporting 45,000 vacancies back in 2018. And again, number one issue cited was retirement, and indeed also paying conditions actually at that time. So I think what we will do, if members are agreed, and I'll come to you in a moment, Andrew, would be that first of all we arrange for a briefing from those individual sectors. So it's been cited in Andrew's Logistics UK. I would also agree with Roy's suggestion in regards to road freight, that we organise a briefing, and following that, then we as a committee can take up specific action points. Now I have the clerk here before I agree on that point. Hold on. Would members be content with one briefing of them together?
Yeah.
Members are agreed? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, so we will have a briefing and followed by that, the committee will then discuss an appropriate ways forward. Are members agreed on that point? Sorry, Andrew?
Look, I'd be satisfied with that, and I think there is, and I've acknowledged there is an issue with pay conditions, but also profit margins within the sector as well, which is dictating some of these issues in terms of paying conditions, so that does need to be addressed. My suggestion would be that they would be together, and I think that would be useful, and then we take whatever actions we can after that. The issue for me is that the Assembly is now back, and we've got quite a significant workload ahead. I feel uncomfortable that we wouldn't be having a committee meeting on the 22nd, personally, and I would suggest that those briefings would occur then on the 22nd as an opportunity for that issue to then be considered on the 22nd. And I know you can't make that, but hopefully the Deputy Chair or something like that could do that, and it would facilitate us to have that, because this is an increasingly urgent issue, so it is.
Okay, I understand, Andrew, and if we take it that you literally received your any other business literally this morning, so it is something that we'll have to consider. I would prefer a much fuller discussion whereby members can be fully informed. I also think what we could do in the meantime as well is commission some research also. We could look into a RAISE report as to the issues ongoing within the sector, because it's important for us as a committee, recognising that this is much wider than just a Northern Ireland problem. In fact, it's worldwide, that we also look at how we specifically can deal with it. So I want to propose, as I said in the first instance, that we try to organise a briefing, we gather whatever information we can, and at the earliest opportunity we have those sectors before the committee, and then adopt an appropriate way forward.
I think the issue for me, the earliest opportunity is the 22nd of September,
okay,
as far as I'm concerned.
We will see what we can do in terms of arranging. Okay, members content? Okay, agreed.
Yeah.
Okay, we will stick with any other business. Does any other member have any other business before we go into confidential business? Liz Kimmins.
Thanks, Chair. This is in relation to an issue that's come up quite a lot in my own area in the last couple of weeks, in relation to the Newry to Dublin Airport bus service. So it's been brought to my attention that previously there had been an hourly bus service from Belfast to Dublin. It stopped off in Newry, and in recent times, obviously with COVID, things had to change, and I appreciate that. That the service for Newry has been reduced significantly, and it stops in Banbridge on an hourly basis. However, Newry is a city, and I suppose it's probably the key city between Belfast and Dublin, and it doesn't have an hourly service now. Our office did contact the Chief Executive in TransLink, and to be honest with you, the response we received, we weren't really that happy about, where it said basically that it was, there's a lot of traffic issues in Newry, and that was one of the reasons why they'd reduced the service. And I mean, I don't think that's good enough in terms of demand, particularly as we see reduced airline services and things like that. In the news recently, where a lot of service is going to be directed to Dublin, and the people that have contacted me are generally business people who rely on the airport service for their work and various things like that. So they're heavily reliant on this bus service, and I think it's something that we do need to raise, because what concerns me, even though they've said they will review it, what concerns me is that the current timetable on their website is for 1st of September this year until the 31st of August 2022, which indicates that there's no plans to review it within the next year. Now, that may not be the case, but I just think it's a very, very important issue. We were talked about in the earlier response there, the Minister talked about in terms of the Newry bid and Lisburn Chamber issues about parking, about how we want to increase active travel and reduce carbon dependency. And surely this goes against that, in that people are going to be further reliant on cars for picking up from the airport and things like that. So I'm happy to provide more information on it, but it's certainly something I think that needs to be raised at this level. I think it's going to become a bigger issue as we see things starting to open up again. And it's, from my perspective, Newry is a city. I think it should be given the status it deserves in terms of servicing it with transport, particularly an important airport service like this.
Okay, I think first and foremost what we will do is, if we can be provided more information from yourself is in relation to the particular issue, we'd also need to see what the demand culture is like in relation to that. Obviously that's an operational decision by TransLink, but for the strategic planning day there will be organised a briefing from TransLink in which we can bring up this particular issue, along with probably a lot of other issues in relation to the TransLink service. But your point is now on the record. If we can provide it with more information, and we will discuss this at the Strategic Way Day as when TransLink come before the committee, and then we can raise the issue specifically.
Thank you, Chair.
No, sorry, I maybe have worded that wrong. We would discuss when TransLink would be coming before the committee for a Strategic Away Day, and then this point can be raised there. Okay? Thank you, members. We're now going to go into confidential business. So members are content, so I'll just go out for now.
Assembly Senate Chamber Programme Sound. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Senate Chamber Programme Sound.